I have seen some weird things in my life, and the weirdness factor varies depending on the level of what the hell is in front of me. I've witnessed history. I've watched an episode or two too many of the Jerry Springer Show, and way, way too many episodes of Ancient Aliens. And I even saw Legend of the Overfiend before I was ready. Okay, was anybody really ready for it back then? Probably not. The same could be said about the Teletubbies, but I digress. Hell, I've even seen this thing.
We love these subs, 'cause they are good to us. Secrets no subs. They are tasty, they are crunchy, they are warm because they toast them. They got a pepper bar.
Yes, sir, I have seen some weird things in my time. And because I've seen some weird things, I don't often subscribe to conspiracy theories. You flat earthers, you're just on the wrong channel. Nope, we don't deal in conspiracies around here. Too many wild and outlandish accusations, and I'm too lazy to buy a red marker or buy a bunch of red twine. However, I may make an exception. I've made it a point several times that things are never black and white and straightforward and simple. Whether that's changes to code, updates and patches to a live service, or dropping content. A simple request isn't always simple to implement. And a lot of things interact and interchange. And every once in a while, a series of events take shape and you get conspiracy theory material. See, some things happen in a way that would seem to be within a bubble and separate from anything else. I don't think I was ever going to touch covering Ubisoft ever again, but stay with me. Ubisoft has been having a slew of problems since around 2019-2020. Shareholder stake meetings, issues in leadership, inter-office conspiracies and controversies. Try as they might, they couldn't turn the ship around. And then the gaming world had a bit of a shakeup when Ubisoft announced an investment merger with Tencent. Then they offered a volunteer career transition option, which is just corporate speak for please quit before we have to lay you off. And then in the middle of all that, Ubisoft Massive Entertainment announces The Division 3. Okay, odd, but then again, I've seen weirder shit. Anyway, what's your point, Hannibal? This is Battlefield, not Ubisoft. Hang on, I'm getting there. Okay, so Ubisoft is floundering over here. And then we here, in the Battlefield community, got hit with the news that Vince Zampella passed away in December. And this is a huge blow to a lot of Battlefield and Call of Duty fans. And it was an air of silence from EA about the future of Battlefield 6. Meanwhile, on January 9th, Julian Gerighty had an interview and described that the Division 3 was gearing up to be a monster when asked about the status of the development. And then January 16th, 2026. 7 days later. Just 7 days. That's all it took from calling a project a monster to a change of scenery. 1 week, my precious hood rats, for Julian to go from calling his current project a monster to packing his bags for Stockholm. Now, this could all be one giant big coincidence, but to go from saying things like the Division 3 is gearing up to be a monster of a game, and then literally a week later, there's a big announcement that he's coming to EA DICE? But Hannibal, what's this got to do? Shush! I'm getting there. Okay, so Julian is a big deal in Ubisoft. He was the creator-director of The Division and The Division 2. Later, he became the executive producer overseeing the franchise after his creative director position on Star Wars Outlaws ended. And right now, his official position is currently, unspecified. His full resume is director of Star Wars Outlaws, The Division 2, and The Crew. He was also a producer on Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell Chaos Theory, and he worked on IP development for Child of Eden. Now, all of that is under Ubisoft's roof. Now, even though his current position is still unspecified, as of the making of this video, Zampella's passing has left Battlefield 6 without a rudder. Is it safe to assume Gerighty is replacing Zampella? If so, is it a temporary replacement or a full-time deal? Is it even safe to assume his hiring is for Vince's position? Remember, folks, I don't subscribe to conspiracy theories, but if Gerighty was indeed hired to replace Vince, the timing is just so close. I mean, so close. And EA has yet to publicly state what his role will be. Now, GameSpot provided a detailed breakdown of Gerighty's sudden exit from Ubisoft. Their coverage highlights the suspicious timing, just 1 week after he hyped The Division 3, and the "don't worry" response from Ubisoft. Windows Central explored the implications of Battlefield 6 player retention. The site explicitly discussed how Gerighty's experience with long-term live service models at Massive could be used to stabilize Battlefield's declining post-launch numbers. PC Games N mentioned that specific community fear of bullet sponge enemies and gear systems being introduced, noting that the game's new realism mode might be a counter-response to those concerns. However, my only counter to this is that the 100 points for the current gear, specifically the weapons, could use a little adjusting. Like, give me 125 points. 120. Since Julian has experience with gear scores, he could really polish this up. Or completely nuke it, if I'm going to be fair and balanced here. Insider Gaming focused on the internal restructuring of EA, linking Gerighty's hire to the leadership gap left by Vince and the recent delay in Battlefield 6 Season 2. Then there's the community discussion hubs. Reddit, specifically r/Battlefield 6 and r/The Division, are currently the primary grounds for divisioning rumors. In the R Battlefield 6 discussion thread, fans are debating whether his influence will lead to more extraction-style gaming, similar to the Division 2 survivors. A thread on R The Division features speculation on Ubisoft's financial health and the possibility that Gerighty was poached with a better benefits package and more creative control of EA. I mean, hell, it could be a combination of all of the above. Remember, $51 billion juggernaut, they got money to throw at Julian. We even have video coverage. On YouTube, gaming news channels like Legacy Gaming have posted deep dives into the transition, analyzing Gerighty's 25-plus year history at Ubisoft and what his another grand adventure statement means for the future of Battlefield. Even social media discussions on X and the Insider Gaming Discord are tracking real-time reactions to the move and its potential impact on the upcoming February Season 2 update. The current rumors and discussions center on several key areas: live service and retention strategies. This is the bigger one. The rumor goes over stabilizing the player base. Rumors suggest EA hired Gerighty specifically to apply his expertise in managing the long-term live service models, as this is a hallmark of the Division series. We can all agree that EA is inclined to keep the player base engaged through better seasonal content and progression systems, which Gerighty is known for. The rumors about the Season 2 delays has speculation linked to Gerighty's arrival as a reason for the delay to mid-February 2026. Fans suggest he may be overseeing a last-minute overhaul of the season's content to ensure it lands. Now, some players have concerns over bullet sponges. The common fear among the Battlefield community is that Gerighty will introduce RPG-light mechanics such as the bullet sponge enemies and gear score systems, which are central to the Division, but often viewed as incompatible to the Battlefield experience. Hell, I'm sure a simple "I promise no sponges" might ease some of those concerns. Oh, and some players yet have concerns Gerighty might introduce somehow a third-person mode, because given his background with third-person shooters like Star Wars Outlaws and The Division, these rumors suggest he might have the influence to introduce a dedicated third-person mode to Battlefield 6. Or if not, somehow he'll influence EA to introduce an extraction element to the game. He's had success in other games, so there is speculation that he will lead the development of a similar, more polished extraction-style experience within the Battlefield ecosystem to replace or refine previous attempts like Hazard Zone. So why not, right? If that wasn't enough, some players were familiar with his creative direction and environment in urban settings and with weather within a game. Sure, Gerighty is known for the atmospheric urban settings in the Division, but rumors suggesting he may influence future Battlefield maps to feature more dense destruction and destructible urban environments and dynamic weather systems similar to blizzards, sandstorms, and rainstorms seen in his previous work? Hellfire! Lastly, there's the concerns and rumors of him taking over a franchise-wide creative role and having his influence extend to all future entries in the series. Phew! Okay, bring it all back down. Alright. Look, right now, it's all rumor with exception that Julian was hired by EA. We can speculate on the good and bad all day and every day until EA announces officially what he was hired for. Having worked for Ubisoft in the past, am I concerned? No, not really. Julian has close to 30 years in the gaming business. EA just didn't hire someone off the streets. They hired someone who could, in solid theory, carry the torch for Vince and Battlefield. If that is indeed what he was hired for. Besides, he may be able to influence some things, but he cannot change the current model and form of Battlefield 6. Why? Well, we covered this on Monday, guys. Frostbite is Frostbite. And no one there are the OGs who wrote or built it. Julian most likely doesn't have that knowledge either. We may see things of his touch and influence as we did Vince, but a complete overhaul? No, not in Battlefield 6. Battlefield 7, maybe. If Julian is the new rudder, I'm okay with this. There are very few people on this planet that could come close to filling Vince's shoes. Julian is just one of them. Mark Rubin retired after X-Defiant shut down. Jason West retired. Marcus Ledu already leads a Seattle-based studio within the Battlefield ecosystem. While he has focused on the narrative component of Battlefield, many fans view him as a natural candidate for the franchise's top creative spot due to his deep history with iconic first-person shooters. Byron Bede, formerly the general manager of Call of Duty franchise at Activision, was hired by EA in 2021 as the general manager of Battlefield. While Vince held the creative and franchise-wide vision, Bede handles the commercial and operational side. Rumors suggest Bede may take on more executive authority while hiring creative pillars like Gerighty to handle the game's actual feel. That's pretty much it, guys. Julian is really the only realistic option here. As in other things mentioned in this channel, I advise patience. We'll find out what Julian's official role will be within EA, DICE, and Battlefield Studios. I know some of you hate some change, but change comes whether you like it or not, want it or not. Adapt or die. Julian has the resume to do this, I'm sure. I suggest we just hang back and wait, confirm whether or not he's the new lead on Battlefield 6, and then go from there. I mean, what's the worst that could happen? There are some things we as players need to keep our eye on. The Season 2 delay to February 17th, 2026, and the player hemorrhage. Whether I agree with all the screaming memes out there on why player drop is so steep, there's no denying that the player count peaked at 750k in October 2025, and it's currently averaging between 80k and 100k players on the daily. It has lost roughly 80 to 90% of its Steam player base in 3 months. We simply don't know the EA app numbers or the console numbers. It's not a dying game yet, as all my full lobbies and occasional queue to even get into the lobby happens all hours of the day, every day, to testify to that. But consider the Arc Raiders threat for a moment. Embark Studios, which is full of ex-DICE devs, is currently sitting at 422k active players with Arc Raiders. Battlefield is officially being beaten by its own ancestors. But Gerighty could change all that. He has the right background, and given the same creative control Vince had, Battlefield 6 could go very far, very fast. Again, this isn't me saying EA yay! Yay! This is me going, okay, what now? Julian is coming, and possibly replacing the missing rudder? Well, okay, let's see where this goes. If Vince was still with us and EA was trying to force him out and Julian in, that would be a different kind of video with a completely different tone. No. Vince is gone. And someone needs to captain the ship. So who else could possibly do it? Who else could it possibly be? And honestly, this entire situation could be a whole lot worse just by EA doing nothing to find a captain and just let the currently cooked content ride, crossing their fingers. No, they acted as quickly as was allowed given the circumstance. In this instance, I'd not fault them for it, nor do I envy that situation at all. So even though my still ass is happy Battlefield 6 is still up and kicking, I'm glad it looks like a rudder has been found and we can keep going, hopefully to smoother waters. Okay, so not a 30-minute video this time. Whew! I'm glad you guys made it to the end. Some quick things before you leave. Hey, sit your ass down. The credits haven't even started rolling yet. The hell's the matter with you? Shit, you haven't even finished your freaking popcorn. Yes, this channel has plugs. Those of you who have subbed and have been here a while know them. Those of you new here, I have the usual plugs all the other channels have. I'm not going to spell them out for you because you're adults and we don't want to hold hands. You know how to read and where to find them. But I will remind everyone of, however, is the most important plug, the Veteran Spotlight. Every month, a new veteran support group is highlighted here. You can find that info at the very bottom of the video's description. 11 days left for this month's Spotlight, so check them out. See if it's something you'd support. Okay, my good little hood rats, go forth, log into the game and commit war crimes and burn articles of the Geneva Convention while you capture flags and arm the MCOMs. Until the next one, out.